to this very short video presentation showing you the archive membership site for webinars for GPs, the webinar recordings, and how a little bit of information about how you can access this treasure trove of CPD webinar recordings. It's got over a year's worth of live and weekly webinar recordings, CPD recordings for busy GPs like you and me. So I hope you enjoy this short film. My name is Simon Wade, I'm the Webinar GP, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to show you inside the archive membership site. So many people, colleagues, have been asking me about it. I sent an email out recently letting people know about the archive site, and a lot of people wanted to have a look inside before they made a decision about whether they wanted to make the small investment and have access to the site. So that's why I've created this video, and I hope you'll enjoy it. You'll have to forgive my amateur video making skills, but we'll do our best. So let's show you the site. I'm just going to minimize this video if I can. Okay, so we'll just move that out of the way. Put me down there. So when you access the site, and you can read more about it by going to this page, and if you have a look on the top, the URL for that is there, and when you go to this site, this page, you can read about all the information about the webinars for GPs, how we got going, and what prompted me to create the membership site. So at the end of this short video, I'll share with you the URL where you can have a read, but the main reason for doing this was just to show you the website. So if you sign up and become a member, you'll get emailed your login details, so it'll be an email that you supply, that'll be your access, and then a password will be sent to you, and you can always reset your password once you're a member and inside the site. You click the login button, and that takes you in to the home page, which I've just opened on a separate tab for speed, just to show you. So along the top here, you've got your own account details. There's a home tab, which is this one, with a welcome video that I shot recently. It's just a minute long. There's the old webinar archive from the previous year's recordings. They're all listed there, and as well as listing them there, we've placed them in some separate categories which are here. For those of you who may or may not have found the free offer, the 5 free CPD recordings, those are here on this tab. So if we click onto the webinar archive, that will take us to the archive page, which is here, and I'll just scroll down. So you can see these categories that we've got so far. We've got pediatrics, child protection training, out of hours, substance misuse, geriatrics, oncology, surgery, mental health, GP wellbeing and personal development, very important, infectious diseases, and some general practice, general topics. So I'll just quickly show you. So for example, in the pediatrics, we've got 4 in there at the moment, including assessment of the sick child, managing feverish illness, a further one, because there's so much training potentially available, isn't there, on pediatrics and assessing sick children. So there are 2 separate webinars on that. Child protection training, we've got 3 webinars with Dr. James Burden, who's the named doctor for child protection in Northamptonshire, and he's on the RCGP subcommittee relating to child safeguarding and child protection. So very valuable webinar recordings there. We've got a webinar relating to the out of hours changes and the introduction of the 111 service. We've got 7 or 8 webinars on substance misuse now. We're growing quite an archive. It's a real very good training area for substance misuse. We recently had a webinar on all about cannabis from a local substance misuse consultant, psychiatrist, and that's going to be added to the archive very soon. So we had at least 50 hours of webinars last year, 50 separate webinars, as well as an 8-week mindfulness course, and all of the recordings for the 50 live and weekly webinars are going in here, and there are plans to add the mindfulness trainings at some point in the future. Here's the geriatrics tab. You see, you just click on the link and it opens up the category, and then you can select the recording from within. So we've got a webinar on dementia and Alzheimer's, 2 on delirium because it's such an important topic, a webinar all about cognitive screening and testing in primary care, a webinar all about management of stroke and TIA, that was just done in the last couple of months, hospital at home, falls in the community, and I just want to quickly show you the other categories. So we've got 4 oncology, ovarian cancer, improving outcomes in lung cancer, familial breast cancer, looking at treatment and surveillance, psychological issues in cancer patients, that's from Tanya Hawthorne, consultant psychiatrist up at the Christie Centre in the Manchester area. 2 webinars on separate aspects of bariatric surgery, a really fantastic overview webinar, and then a follow-up webinar talking about the benefits of bariatric surgery for managing type 2 diabetes mellitus, and that's in the NICE guidelines now for morbidly obese patients as well as diabetic patients. We've got mental health, we've got 4 there at the moment, including a really valuable webinar from Dr. Cobus van Rensburg on ADHD through into adulthood, a webinar from Dr. Ian Walton, who is the chair of the primary care mental health education charity. He's a GP in a very busy inner city area of Birmingham. Dr. Ian Walton, he gave a really excellent webinar educational session on assessment of the suicidal patient. Anxiety, Lisa Hill from the Sandwell and West Birmingham CCG, she's a senior mental health nursing background, and gave a really helpful webinar all about anxiety and diagnosing and managing it in primary care. The GP and wellbeing section is really useful. I gave 2 webinars last year on management of GP stress and preventing burnout, and we had a follow-up webinar from Dr. David Smart in the autumn entitled A Breathing Space for General Practice, which was really good, and that outlined 10 different modalities that we can adopt, all with backed up with evidence, scientific evidence that could be helpful. And one of those is practicing mindfulness, and we had a webinar all about mindfulness and using mindfulness based stress reduction to help us GPs cope with the increasing pressures of general practice. That was a really very useful look at mindfulness for GPs, and based on the positive feedback we had from that, we ran an 8-week mindfulness based stress reduction course for GPs as a series of webinars. So infectious diseases, we've got tuberculosis in the UK, that was from a public health consultant colleague based in the Birmingham area, and then we've got a whole series, I'll just scroll down so that you can see them, on under a general practice category. So patient with multiple joint pains, that's a webinar given by Dr. Tom Margam, who's a GP in London with a special interest in rheumatology, and he works also with the Arthritis Research UK charity. The 15-minute hour was Professor Marion Stewart, who's based in America, in the USA. Marion has been teaching for over 30 years medical students and younger doctors on the way to explore the emotional aspects of each and every consultation that we often may be afraid or too busy to sort of go near, but it's there, and if you do allow even just 2 or 3 minutes exploring that with a patient, the patient has a better sense of feeling heard during the consultation. So satisfaction ratings are higher, they're less likely to complain, and actually if you cover that area in the way that Marion describes and demonstrated during the webinar, you can survive a busy surgery without feeling emotionally drained. So that was a really very, very useful webinar from Marion Stewart. We had Dr. Jonathan Cullis talking about iron deficiency anemia in primary care. He's a consultant haematologist in Salisbury. Multimorbidity, Professor Stuart Mercer in Glasgow. He's a working GP and an academic professor in general practice research. And he's an international speaker, so we were very fortunate to have Professor Stuart Mercer speaking to us about multimorbidity, and he gave 10 tips for better care as GPs. The psychology of chronic pain, that was a fascinating review with a consultant clinical psychologist, Dr. Damien Gardner, here in the county, Northamptonshire. 2 webinars on telephone consultation skills, fantastic webinar on computers and the internet for GPs, both for us researching reliable information and also trustworthy sites that we can share with patients. And Pavan Randev is a GP with a special interest in cancer care, and he's also a trainer and an appraiser. He gave a really very useful talk on use of the computers and the internet, and a good section, very good section on how to collect and collate your information efficiently with your computer so that you can upload it to your online appraisal site in a very efficient manner. So that was really valuable. Guidance on the use of opioids in palliative care from a senior pharmacist down at St Christopher's Hospice in London. Dr. Steve Brown, an ENT GP with a special interest, 4 ways to make a difference with ENT. That was really useful. Dr. Andy Dowson, who's the sort of consultant GP in the headache clinic at King's College London, gave a whistle-stop tour of headache, migraine and non-migraine headache, early diagnosis and treatment strategies, and he's coming back to do 2 more webinars for us in the spring on migraine and headache, to do with red flags, what not to miss, and also a sort of a headache 101 session. And there's another webinar from Shamash Aladina, who wrote Mindfulness for Dummies. He gives a webinar on mindfulness generally, and how it can be applied to our patients. So lots and lots of really valuable webinar recordings there in the archive, and as I showed you, you can just click on a link and you can access the webinar. So for example, if we want to go for a child protection webinar, we click on the relevant tab and it'll take us to let's do one now. Let's click on this safeguarding children, and it should take us to the relevant page. So here we are. Safeguarding Children is the title there. Dr. James Burden, the speaker there. Here's the recording, and when you're ready to play, you just click the play button like you would on any video recording, and you've got the option of enlarging the video to full screen. I'll do that in a moment to show you some information just below about the speaker and some learning points, an overview of learning points there. So let's just show you and start it playing, and we can enlarge. So that's on the enlarged screen, and that webinar is just about to start. So that's running through. That's James's desktop, and so we can just pause that. Don't need to actually watch a webinar on this session. This is just showing you the practicalities of how it all works, and this is the really great thing. So lots of colleagues who watched replays in the past or asked to watch replays, they also wanted to get a certificate for watching the replay. So now inside this archive site you can. So you've got access to all the replays, and you can get a certificate after watching a replay recording. and here we see on this tab, so you can click on this little tab and it opens up the section underneath, and I'll scroll down to show you. So this section, so that you can acquire your certificate, and this is available on each page for every recording. So there's some information about how the CPD credits work, and it talks about the various ways you can double the credit value that you attach to the educational session if you can show impact. And there's some information there on the various ways that you can show impact. And then you fill in these reflection and learning points, as well as ticking an honesty box. Can you see there, just where my mouse is on the top left? By submitting this form, I confirm that I've either attended the entire live webinar event or watched the complete replay through in order to obtain a CPD certificate for the topic. So there's that little honesty box that you tick, because as you know, at the moment GP CPD is an honesty based system. We need to provide evidence of our CPD, so you're ticking that honesty box to confirm that you have watched the recording. You pop in the title, you pop in the speaker. Remember, there at the top, they're up there if you needed to be refreshed, the title and the speaker. So you pop those details in, and then you've got what did you find good about the talk, so some free text there, and then list 3 things below that you learned or appreciated afresh from this talk. So you put in some learning points, same as you would when you're applying for your CPD after attending a physical meeting. So you put in your learning points, and then this is very valuable. We ask you to list at least one thing that you could change in your practice as a result of this educational event. And there's quite a lot of science now, scientific research confirming that if people write down some clear, practical change in practice that you can institute after a learning experience, you're much more likely to actually change your practice. So it's one thing to absorb and digest some new learning, but we need to translate that, don't we? We need to translate it into something actionable. Otherwise, what are we doing? It's a sort of just an intellectual exercise. So getting colleagues to complete that box, listing one thing that you could change in your practice as a result of that specific learning experience is very powerful for achieving positive change. So it makes the CPD effective. And then obviously the last two points on there relate to feedback for us. Any comments about what could be done to improve the talk or your experience, and then a little voting button at the bottom. You can grade how likely you are to recommend this training to a colleague. And once you've filled in those bits, it'll just take 2 or 3 minutes, same as for a physical CPD meeting. You click here where it says send me my CPD certificate. So you click on that, and that will allow the delivery of a certificate by email. So you'll get a digital PDF document of your certificate that's ready for upload to your appraisal website, and you'll also get the learning points, these various pieces of information, reflection and learning points that you've written down. You haven't got to write them again for your appraisal folder online. That'll all come back to you in an email as well. So it's all there, paper free, very efficient. So I've enjoyed just showing you around the website. I've enjoyed showing you how you access these categories, so that you can access individual webinars within the various different categories. I've also showed you the whole list of recordings, so you can use your mouse wheel and just scroll down that way, so you can access your recordings that way. We've got the home page with the welcome video from me, and on the home page as well there's a link here that you can click to visit the website with the calendar for the upcoming live webinars. So if you want to see what's coming up in terms of the next few weeks, you can go to the webinarsforgps.com live website, and just by clicking that link there below the calendar icon, and that'll take you to the site so that you can see what's coming up. Underneath there's some general information there about webinars for anybody who's fairly new to them. There's a little bit of blurb on the side about me and what I'm about, and a 1 minute and 7 second welcome video. So I hope that you found that helpful. The last tab on the left there talks about subscriptions and your invoice history, and you log out by this area up on the top right. If you bring your mouse and hover it over your name, you'll see the log out button and your profile and account, so that you can change your password and things if you need to. So I hope you found that really helpful. To find out more, go over here and have a read. Let's just see if I can put this on a document for you to see it a bit more easily. Sorry about this. If I can make that a bit bigger for you. So that's the make it like that. There we go. So that was the last thing really to that's the it's a little bit long, isn't it, but that's the website where you can there we go. That's the website where you can read the sort of the letter that sort of gives a bit more background and introduction to the archive site. I've shown you inside the archive site, and I hope you'll agree with me that it's a fantastic resource. I look forward to hearing some feedback, hearing about your experience of playing the recordings, filling in your feedback and reflection and learning points, requesting your certificate from within the site, and then you'll receive that by email. The wonders of modern technology. My family are always teasing me because I keep getting excited about modern technology and how it's a time saver, and it's a generational thing, isn't it? I mean, this is all new to people my age. I'm over 50 now, born in '62, and for my children, well, and you know, our children at home, they just chuckle and laugh, and they call me an old timer because the youngsters take it all in your stride, don't you? But I think it's fantastic. Anyway, I'm so excited to share this archive site with you. I hope that you've been on a live webinar. If you haven't, check it out, webinarsforgps.com, webinarsforgps.com for the live webinars. And if you'd like to read about the archive site, having had a little peek inside with this video, there's the rather long website. We're going to try and shorten that, but that's the website address. There'll be a link to that if you're watching this on YouTube or another video hosting site. There'll be a link just to click, nice and easy. Usually it's placed below, down here somewhere. It might be that way or that way. Rarely it might be above the video. It's usually down there. Okay, my name's Simon Wade, the Webinar GP. Thanks for your time. Hope that you'll join me and enjoy the archive site as well as the live and interactive CPD webinars. Bye for now.